This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, coming off one of the more deflating losses of the season for the Spurs team, the fans needed a reason to smile, needed a reason to believe that, hey, that mess that happened in Houston, it stays in Houston. And thankfully for them, De'Aaron Fox gave them exactly that in clutch time tonight. Welcome into the Spurs POSTCAST right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network in all of the land. San Antonio winners tonight, 126-109 on the back of some big-time heroics from their star point guard. He, of course, NBA champion, Devin Brown. I'm Casey Viera, my friend. A lot of fans, individuals with interest in the Spurs, I guess you could say, reeling a little bit off that Houston game, blowing that third quarter lead, that 16-point lead. A lot of similar aspects of it tonight, but the end result, a heck of a lot better, and they head back to town with a win.
Hey, beautiful basketball tonight. Let's break it down, Casey. It was beautiful, though.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, so for the second time in less than a week, getting together with the Jazz in the middle, sandwiched in the middle there, Utah beating Minnesota a couple nights ago. It snapped a 4-game losing streak. Again, no Lauri Markkanen, no Luke Kornet on the Spurs side of things. How he had a adductor situation that sat him tonight. Came out shooting the ball great again, much like they did the other day against Houston. 7 of 14 from three in the first quarter, even at 31 apiece. Second quarter, got off to a good start, opened up the quarter on a 15-0 run. Ultimately, it takes a 12-point lead in the second half, 65-53. Then we get back into the familiar territory, the hold our breath in the third quarter territory. And what has ensued consistently, it ensued once again. The Spurs blow that double-digit lead. Jazz tie it a couple times. They give up 39 points in the quarter to Utah, the Spurs do, but ultimately they escape out of that third quarter with a 5-point lead. Jazz bounce back in the fourth, and the two squads, they trade punches, and they battle with that tie score for probably about the first 4 minutes. But crunch time plays, crunch time shot making from De'Aaron Fox tonight. 4 threes inside the final 7 minutes to pull away in a 99-99 all tie. They closed the game on a 27-10 run, and ultimately the math reads 126-109 in favor of the Spurs. De'Aaron, his fifth 30-point game with the Spurs, a season-high 31, 6 of 9 from deep. Vic goes for 26-13. 5 blocks and 33 minutes of work. That's the most, the minutes number. That's the most that he's played since November 14th. That was the Warriors game, the latter of the two that he got injured. So it would certainly appear that the minutes thing is a thing of the past. That only time will tell with that. It was certainly interesting. A lot of things you don't like, but a lot of things you do like. And De'Aaron Fox, the biggest one tonight.
Yeah, 31 big ones tonight. Wemby, 26. Keldon, 21. Keldon was great. Not even to speak of, what Wemby and Fox did. Excellent. 18 threes, Casey. 50% from the floor. You'll take that every night. Now, the difference in that fourth quarter, you had about 8 or 9 possessions where you saw Castle and Fox, because they were going away from the Spurs bench, looking over their shoulder. I'm going to tell you, that's big. You want to know why? The difference tonight is they ran plays. And that's where they were able to open up the game. It wasn't this freelance stuff. I think the last bad shot I saw them take, it was a tie game, and Champagnie from that left corner, the quick three, or the Spurs might have been up 3-78-75, something like that. Right. That was the last bad possession you saw in a span of about 10. And that right there is where Coach Mitch is going to get a hold of this basketball team, and they're going to be able to go to a whole nother level when they run plays. All right. That's what we had talked about on the squad show. Casey, you saw it tonight, and for that 4 or 5 minutes, it was very effective.
That's interesting that you say that because I feel like that's the type of thing you wonder what prompted it to now all of a sudden it's like the concerted effort. Oh, we're really going to make it, focus less on the ISO ball when things are gone by the wayside. And now we're going to go back to the fuller X's and O's, draw up full plays in crunch time. It's like, was the Houston game kind of the trigger of that? Was that the one that kind of was the tip of the iceberg? Maybe that's what it was. But that's interesting. That's interesting that you point that out. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, because you have a lot of eyes, not only our eyes, but there's some very important eyes on Coach Mitch and on this basketball team. And when I speak of that, I speak of a Tim Duncan, Greg Popovich, guys like that. And they can get a hold of Coach Mitch anytime that they want. So I feel like there's conversations behind the scenes going on because the Spurs have a really good basketball team. And you would hate for this year to get away from you because you like to play YMCA basketball. Now, listen, that's not a shot at the YMCA. I'm just saying that's pickup ball. In the NBA, you can't play pickup ball. Your boy Jordan Poole, New Orleans is next. He plays pickup ball. We don't need that.
Devin's excited for that one. Devin's
Can't
excited.
wait.
Jordan Poole in town.
Cannot wait.
You could have LeBron. You could have Luka. You could have whoever in the building. Devin, whatever. But you got Jordan Poole coming to town. Say less. You know where to find him on Sunday.
Exactly.
We'll worry about Sunday in a little bit. Let's talk about the turning point of the fourth quarter and essentially the turning point, the difference in tonight.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
All right, so like I said, 99 even, 9 minutes to go. Jazz rattle off 7 straight points, and they have the momentum going on. Spurs respond by going on a 10-0 run, a little bit of everybody. Keldon, a Wemby 3, Castle, and then a Fox 3 that extends that advantage right back to 109-99. But that was kind of the point where you saw that, all right, it's De'Aaron Fox clutch time engaged mode. Really clicking, really happening, because that 3 that I mentioned, that was the first of 4 that he hit in that fourth quarter of play. Obviously much needed, and a very similar spot to what we saw the other day. Utah is not Houston. We know that. Utah is not Minnesota. We know that, but it's still an NBA team, one that's beaten you no less, that's coming back from a double-digit lead, that has the momentum in their building. It's not an easy task to do. And the Spurs, like we've discussed, have had issues in that spot. Very immediate recent issues. So it was good tonight to see Fox have, put his foot down a little bit, because we say it all the time. He gets his numbers, but it's just kind of like one of those things where he doesn't do it flashy or anything. It's just kind of like an accumulation of things. And you're like, man, well, would Fox go for like 14 and 6? And then at the end of the night, you check the book and he's got like 22, 7 and 7 or something like that. Tonight was a little bit different. Tonight, we haven't really put the word Fox and takeover in the same sentence, on the same bullet point. I can't. I mean, I make the bullet points. I can't remember putting the word Fox, the 2 words Fox takeover in there. So that was a little bit refreshing to see on that front, that when they need it, he still can get it, and he did it tonight.
So let's dig inside of that. So Coach Mitch is doing this thing in the fourth quarter where you saw it tonight, where Wemby will start that fourth quarter, and about the 8-minute mark or 7-minute mark, he'll pull him out.
Right.
Well, that's what he did, and that's where Fox was able to get 2 or 3 or whatever it was, whatever the number was, of threes to go in. So when the Spurs opened it up to 10, Victor was out of the game. Well, that's a bonus, because he's coming back at some point, and he came back in there, and right there is the difference. He comes right in, runs a ball screen, gives it to Vic, and Vic hits that free throw line jump shot. So the run that they had, yes, it was fueled by Fox, but the more important thing is it happened when Wemby was off the floor.
Right. No, it was. That's another very valid point that you bring up. More numbers for you. Castle 16, 7 and 8, 4 of 12 from the field. Like you said, Keldon 21 on 9 of 19. Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper's teammate over there at Rutgers, he was a game high 25 on the Utah side. But this was interesting, an interesting stat that Jacob Toby brought up on the podcast, and you'll appreciate this as someone who played in Utah. Jusuf Nurkic, back-to-back triple doubles, 17, 11, and 14. The first to do that, Jasmine, whatever, to do that. No, not since Devin Brown. We go back even deeper in time. Pistol Pete. That's quite the stat.
The great Pistol Pete, yeah.
Great Pistol Pete. That's quite the stat.
The only thing that I had a problem with, Casey, was that Shawnee Elliott aged himself a little bit. That's the only problem I had.
Second grade, right?
He said, I was in second grade. I was like, oh. Okay.
All right. Mr. 100 didn't exactly give Sean a whole lot to cheer about tonight, neither. Harrison was held to 2 points in 22
Well,
minutes of work.
Casey, it's cold. It's cold in
It is.
Salt Lake. You
It
know,
is.
those bones.
It is. Dylan Harper, we mentioned him before, 4 points and 2 assists in 13 minutes of work. I think it's a good win. I mean, listen, any win is a good win. You're at 31-14 on the season, but you wanted to see them just kind of get back on the right side of things, given how much of a sour taste that Houston game left in your mouth, regardless of who it was. Could have been anyone. Could have been Utah. Could have been the Lakers. Could have been anybody. The best team in the league. Well, if it was the best team in the league, you're really feeling good. But they just kind of needed a little bit of a pick-me-up because the past couple, at least the fans, one, because you don't like you losing to Houston, period, as a fan. But two, it was encouraging in the sense that you saw something that you haven't seen in a little while with that Fox takeover. And it's good signs. Going into a weekend, well, we hope we're going to get a game on Sunday. We'll see with all this weather stuff.
Right.
But yeah, we'll find out. Hey, let's talk about that and how the Spurs can build off of the momentum of tonight, that New Orleans game, assuming it is played on Sunday, coming up on the other side of the break, and a little bit more here on the Spurs postcast on Locked On Spurs. But before we do that, before we get to all that fun following this Spurs win, we step aside to talk about some of our friends that help drive this program. Almost everyone's favorite time of year, tax season, right around the corner. Listen, it doesn't have to take over your life. TurboTax, they're around and they're making your life easier than ever, honestly, just to hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax's full service, you can have all that stuff done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish. Stress, guesswork, get it all out of here. That's what we know it's a tough time this year. You don't want to get through it. So give them a look. For a limited time, you can have taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If an expert didn't file for you last year, that is, just filed by February 28th. So you have a little over a month to get on top of that. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/locked on or /local, should say, to book your appointment today. Tax and the business owners, you guys are the crowd we're hitting on tonight. New Year's, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our businesses and we say there's just got to be a better way. Lucky for you, today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is everything from reachable, organized, communicating in one place, you don't need me to tell you, you're working cleaner, faster, more efficiently. And you're above all else, you're creating more opportunities to connect with the customer. So make this year where no opportunity or customer goes to waste. Try Quo for free. Get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba, quo.com/lockedonnba. No missed calls, no missed customers. And finally, keep an eye out. It's Friday. Tomorrow is Friday. But I got the plans for you. I'm telling you what you're doing with your Friday with FanDuel. You are checking out NBA Happy Hour. What is it? Well, it's the official pregame in the limited time window where special offers, they drop right inside the app before the NBA action starts. 6 to 7:30 Eastern time appointment viewing for all the basketball fans out there with this NBA Happy Hour. You're trying to win money, they're going to help you win even more. Boost bonuses, surprises along the way. So before tip-off, check out the app, see what's dropping for Happy Hour, NBA Happy Hour, 6 to 7:30 Eastern time. Again, NBA Happy Hour only on FanDuel, of course, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Spurs winners tonight on the good side of things, walking away with a 126-109 victory, 27-10 run to walk away with the dub. Now turn the focus to New Orleans Pelicans team that, despite not being particularly great, another struggle of a season, always, regardless of the iteration, regardless what they look like, give the Spurs a hard time.
Yeah.
So you can operate under that assumption that it would happen again come this Sunday. Again, weather, knock on wood, weather permitting, given all the storms that's happening. How does something like this carry over tonight? Because I like what you brought up about the running plays side of things.
Mm-hmm.
And that just feels a little different and kind of what you want to, obviously, what you want to see in these kind of moments like that. But Is that something? It sounds so simple to say and almost so silly to say, like, go out, you're running a play. We're not doing it in crunch time. But would something like tonight kind of establish maybe a little more philosophical focus on that, as opposed to, hey, clear out, let De'Aaron go to work type deal, or Wemby, whoever it may be. Yeah.
Whoever it may be. Yeah. No, what it does is it gives you, substance for Coach Mitch in the film room. You show them the difference in those two games right there. Show them 5 or 6 possessions in the Houston game where they're coming down, they're not running anything. You're going to have players in that room that are going, when you look at it on film, you go, we look unorganized. We don't look like we're playing the type of Spurs basketball that's gotten us to 31-14. Well, then you show them 4 or 5 clips from that 7-minute span of the Utah game, and right there, guys should be able to pick that up. And they go, so that's what it looks like when we're organized. So it's very easy. And like I said, today's NBA, you spend more time watching a lot of film than you really do on the practice court. That's just how it is these days. So it is very easy, Casey. You show them both games. There's a big difference in the way they played in that fourth quarter, and you just go from there.
A lot to like about it. Some to dislike the fact that they did stub their toe a little bit once again and found themselves in a very familiar spot, unfortunately, that they were in just a couple nights ago, and I guess even a couple nights before that on the Minnesota side of things. But encouraging, to say the least. They do listen. We talk about, and I think we forget sometimes, like, the team is 31-14 now. The team is second in the Western Conference.
Mm-hmm.
Every single team has their flaws. No team is the 72-10 Bulls, 73-9. Those are like the outliers to the system. So there are cautionary moments that I think are valid to have, but I think at the end of the day, we also have to keep kind of perspective at times that this is still a good team, obviously. And this kind of comes with the territory when it comes to blowing these leads. It's just not a perfect science. And it's not a perfect science by the end of the year, let alone game 45. You know what I mean?
Right.
And, sometimes maybe we take a step back. It's easier to say after a win, because I'm not having this conversation if they lost this game.
Right.
We're out there, a different kind of narrative. But sometimes you need a reminder of it. It's probably, I guess, what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, and De'Aaron Fox mentioned it right after the game, they got stops, and they got consecutive stops, 2, 3, 4 in a row, things like that. Because if you look at it from the other side, Utah, Nurkic was very effective in making these bounce passes all over the court. Guys are getting dunks. Ace Bailey had a breakout game. That might have been a career high for him. George, they kept him under wraps for the most part. They did a great job paying attention to the scouting report on him tonight. So that was the biggest difference between the Jazz and the Rockets, is you just got stops down the stretch when you really needed them. Dug your heels in there and got stops, and that's what it was about.
And they had number 4 on their side, and tonight he showed up in the fourth quarter, and it's the reason why we're having these conversations on the better side of things.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
The 5th 30-point game as a San Antonio Spur for De'Aaron Fox. 12 of them coming in the final 7 minutes. Everything it needs to be. Everything he signed up for. Showing up when it mattered. And doing it once again.
Yeah, no, he was big. He's going to get the player of the game tonight. Made shots down the stretch. And Casey, this is only a sample size what it is that this young man can do. As we move this season towards the playoff run, you're going to start seeing, him enforce his will on this team and for this program. So, big shout out to him. This is just the beginning point. When these games start to matter more, De'Aaron's probably going to show up like he did tonight.
Of course, New Orleans next on deck for the Spurs. They have a game in Memphis tomorrow. The Pelicans do. Zion left last night under the weather. Played 15 minutes. I know that eye roll.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? If they do play that game, again, because of this crazy weather that we're having, I guess really all across the nation, that would be Sunday, 6:00. You always like to say before we get out of here, I guess now that the Spurs are going to be departing back into, I don't know what the temps were in Utah, but I know they were cold. Is there like a weather story that you can, one of your favorite weather stories, if you will, team flying, that you can condense into about 60 seconds before we get out of here?
Team flying?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few of them. Cleveland, Utah. I'll tell you what, you have some of the best players in the world, some of the biggest human beings playing a game of basketball, but you let that plane drop in the air, or even taking off when you're flying through the clouds. You have some of the biggest babies you'll ever meet in your life.
I think it's valid. And that's coming from a guy who likes to fly a lot too. But anyways, yeah, hopefully we are getting together on Sunday. And hey, you know what? Even if the game's played, I don't want to make any promises. Maybe I'll talk to management. We'll get together and talk about it too, for better or worse, on the Spurs postcast right here in Locked On Spurs. As always, just got you covered on the title pod bright and early tomorrow, Friday, to get your head start into the weekend up and running. You guys are awesome. You're the ones that drive this program. You make this fun. As always, we appreciate the engagement. We're really enjoying it. Wins, losses. You guys are enthusiastic, fun. You're making this thing really enjoyable. And then obviously the network collectively as a whole appreciates it. The Locked On Podcast Network, you guys making it the #1 sports podcast network in the world. So Spurs, they're #1 tonight. Good win in Utah, taking care of business in the fourth quarter on the back of De'Aaron Fox. And now they head back into the lovely weather that's on deck here in the Alamo City. So for my good buddy, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll talk to you next time.